James Brogan, missing wife. The rain hammered against the office window like it had a personal grudge. James Brogan sat behind his scarred oak desk, nursing a warm whiskey and staring at the photo the client had just slid across the blotter. 3 days, said Margaret Holloway, voice tight but steady. Elena, never gone this long without calling, not once in 22 years. Brogan studied the picture. Elena Holloway looked like the kind of woman who organized charity galas and still remembered the names of every waiter. Late 40s, elegant, expensive smile. The kind of wife who didn't just disappear. He looked up. You sure she didn't just need air, Mrs. Holloway? She gave him a withering look. My husband is a powerful man, Mr. Brogan. We have enemies. And Elena, she's been acting strange for weeks. Distant, secretive. Brogan leaned back, the old chair creaking. Powerful men usually know where their wives are. That's why I came to you instead of the police, she said quietly. Richard can't know I'm looking. Not yet. Brogan took the case. He always did when the money was good and the story smelled off. First stop was Elena's favorite cafe in the old quarter. The barista remembered her. Said she'd been coming in every morning for the last month, but always left after 1 espresso, except last Tuesday she'd sat for 2 hours, writing something in a little blue notebook. Brogan found the notebook 2 days later, tucked behind a loose brick in the alley behind the cafe. Elena had been careful, but not careful enough. Inside were dates, times, and one name circled over and over, Daniel Voss. Voss turned out to be a jazz pianist at a smoky club downtown. Mid-30s, easy smile, the kind of guy who looked like trouble in a good suit. When Brogan leaned on the bar and asked about Elena, Voss didn't even try to lie. Yeah, we were seeing each other, he admitted, lighting a cigarette. She said she was going to leave Richard, start over. Then 3 days ago she just stopped answering. Brogan studied the man's face. Real worry there, not fake. That night Brogan broke into the Holloway mansion while Richard was at a fundraiser. He found Elena's passport still in the drawer. No clothes missing. No suitcase gone. But in the back of her closet he found something else. A plane ticket to Lisbon booked under the name Elena Voss. One way, dated for the day after she disappeared. Brogan was starting to piece it together when the study door opened. Richard Holloway stood there in a tuxedo, holding a glass of scotch like he owned the world. 2 large men stood behind him. Mr. Brogan, Richard said calmly, my wife is dead. Brogan raised an eyebrow. Funny way to put it, most husbands say missing. Richard smiled thinly. She betrayed me with that piano-playing parasite. I gave her everything, and she was going to humiliate me. So you killed her? Richard laughed softly. No, I simply made sure she understood the consequences of leaving. Elena always was dramatic, she ran. Brogan's hand drifted toward the gun under his jacket. Where is she, Holloway? Before Richard could answer, the French doors exploded inward. Elena Holloway stepped through the shattered glass, rain soaking her coat, holding a small revolver with surprising steadiness. She looked at her husband with pure contempt. I'm right here, Richard, and I'm not running anymore. Turns out, Elena had spent the last 3 days hiding in a cheap motel, gathering evidence of Richard's money laundering and affairs. She'd been planning to disappear with Daniel Voss and start fresh in Portugal, but she couldn't leave without making sure her husband paid. Brogan ended up driving her to the district attorney's office at 4 a.m., while Richard's lawyers scrambled, and his 2 goons sat in handcuffs. As the sun came up over the city, Elena turned to Brogan in the car. Thank you, she said quietly, for believing I was still alive. Brogan lit a cigarette and cracked the window. Lady, in my line of work, the missing ones are usually either dead or finally waking up. He dropped her off, collected his fee, and went back to the office. The bottle of whiskey was still waiting. Another day, another ghost laid to rest.